Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gift of Gaming podcast. And can you believe it? This year has given us not one, not two, but 3 Final Fantasy Rebirth trailers. And today, that's what we're going to get into. It's me, it's your host, Darren Wade, and I'm joined by none other than Craig, the Critical Nolan, a fellow Final Fantasy fanatic. Craig, how you keeping?
I'm doing very well, Darren. Really excited to talk about this third trailer, and I hope the audience know damn well that regardless of what we had promised to show or do, we were always going to drop it to just talk about this trailer immediately. Yeah. So hopefully if we have 1 or 2 fans out there, they knew exactly what was coming, because here we go.
They watched the Game Awards and were like, well, I guess the guys are doing the Final Fantasy trailer. Yeah, so for those who don't know, we were watching the Game Awards. We did the game, myself and Chris did the Game Awards episode last week, but there was an announcement, a trailer drop for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, the third one of the year, can you believe it? And the moment I watched that, yourself and myself, we're like, we have to do it. We have to do another episode.
There was so much we wanted to say to each other right there and then. We're like, no, let's save it. Let's save it.
There's so much good shit. But before we get into that, and I guess it's worth putting a notice on this episode. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, the original game, or Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you don't know anything about Final Fantasy VII, you're not going to have a breeze about what we're talking about today. This is for, I'm sorry for the hardcore Final Fantasy VII fan, but this is for the hardcore Final Fantasy fans. We're going to break down the trailer, give our thoughts and what we expect is going to come up, and get the tinfoil hats on and talk about our
we're going to go full deep dive into this. Yeah. Completely.
So that you can check out, there is that Rebirth trailer and the other Rebirth trailer, I think are what the episode titles are called. So if you haven't listened to those yet, go back. You'll find them in our library. We've already covered the 2 trailers this year. But before we go into that, Craig, what have you been playing lately?
Oh, well, it's funny you should ask, because I hadn't been on the podcast for a while, but I started playing Cyberpunk again, because I was one of those fools who bought it day one, just thinking like, this is going to be great, but obviously it wasn't. It was very, very flawed. It was a disaster. But since dropping Liberty City and, I have full faith in CD Projekt Red. They'd made The Witcher 3, so I knew that these guys were capable of doing great things. And I knew right away that they would never just leave the game kind of in a broken state. They were always going to put everything into it.
I was worried that it was too, I guess in my ignorance, too broken to fix. Because I bought it like you day one, and I remember playing it for the first 4 or 5 hours and thinking, wow, what have I been? This is Mass Effect Andromeda all over again. What have I been sold?
No, they've clearly, it just took them a long time to do what they had big ambitions. And I suppose a lot of studios do start out with big ambitions, but it's so different from The Witcher that I think just they had to make everything from scratch. And as great as GTA is in GTA 5, they had 5 games to get to there, And I just think generally when a studio goes so far left field and does something so incredibly different,
going to take some time.
Yeah, the baby steps are a little bit longer, and it just takes you much longer to kind of do what you're doing. But it has me very, very confident that if they did a Cyberpunk 2, it would be amazing, because not only do they have the established formula, but now that they can plan and do all these crazy ideas that they probably had to drop in the first game because it was just taking too long and stuff like that. Because I'm playing right now, and one of my favorite things to do in Cyberpunk is that thing where you put on your head and then you're reliving someone's memories, and then you get to play it out of sync and discover clues and things like that. But that only happens 3 or 4 times in the whole game.
Really? Because that's one of the early game tutorial type
in
things.
The tutorial they go through it for ages.
Yeah,
and then you have one mission. Which is essentially the kind of the opening to the game where all the shit goes wrong with Jackie, and you use it there. And then there's just 2 more missions. One for a detective, you're working with him to solve a kind of clue, and then another one you're working for this couple who think that they're being followed or watched in their own home. And that's it. 3 times, hundreds of hours of gameplay. Yeah. And it only happens 3 to 4 times.
When I was playing it and did the tutorial mission where they kind of show you, this is how you use it, because it's the guy robbing the shop. I think is the first. And I was playing that, being like, oh wow, I can't wait to play more of this game mechanic.
Such a great concept.
But I guess disappointed that they only have so little. But it is. Have you enjoyed, because they did the DLC?
They added a load to DLC, but they've gone back and reworked so much.
The AI
the AI is different. The combat tree, the skill tree, how the enemies behave. The police system is entirely different.
It's more of a GTA kind of.
It's more of a GTA now, where you have the stars and then
Yeah.
they come after you and stuff like that. Just having like 2 stars, I was like getting wrecked. Like like
it's
1 star is hard enough to escape, but 2 stars, I was like, oh, I'm fucked. Like you know. So I haven't even seen what 3 stars does. But unfortunately, it's not a very GTA like game. So like, there's not a lot of reasons to drive around, you know, other than to get to your destination, and you could fast travel.
Whereas you're talking about like, you know, I'm not quite sure GTA 5, I didn't play it for hours and hours, but it's no San Andreas or Vice City where you can just drive around listening to the
like
absolute
most of the
tunes.
game is just driving around, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But they introduced this great thing now with the newest patch in Cyberpunk, is that like when you get out of your car, you take your radio with you, so if you want, it can just remain on.
Oh, nice. That's a good little idea.
Like it's massive, because you realize you go into certain areas, and with the cool kind of cyberpunk-esque music, it really elevates some fight scenes and things like that. You're kind of like, that normally would have just been dead silence. You're like, okay, I've got a banging tune here. This is great.
It's kind of on my wish list, because when we started this podcast, we did the first couple of news episodes, like, you know, a year ago, back when Cyberpunk had a fair bit of work to do. I remember I shat on it a lot.
Of course,
like,
you
I
did.
won't lie, like, you know,
that is partly the reason why I'm talking about Cyberpunk. It's because I love CD Projekt Red, and you are being so miserable towards them.
But it's that thing where, Nick, I can see it now. I have it on my my backlog folder on my PlayStation 5, because I've had it there for, you know, for ages. I originally was playing it on the Stadia, and even because I know the consoles had problem, but even when I was playing it on the Stadia on cloud gaming, it still had so many issues. Like, it wasn't just a console problem, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it was, I remember watching the trailers and the hype, and it was a game that I was getting excited for, but for it to come out the way that it did, and I'd been bitten so bad by Mass Effect Andromeda, you know, like that day one purchase, I was living in New Zealand, I was like, and now to continue on this amazing Mass Effect story, that I was bitten really hard by that, and then coming out to Cyberpunk, I was like, not again, you bastards, you know? So I've heard lots of good things, and it will be a game that I will pick up and play again now that it's fixed. But I am getting tired of that whole, I have to wait 2 years to play the actual game.
I know, but I think, and you saw what happened to that studio there recently who did
fantastic studio who did the day before.
Exactly, but it just seems to be happening more and more with companies who don't realize the amount of work it could
spreading themselves
take
way too thin.
So I just think games are a lot harder to make these days, unless you have like
a big studio behind you, and like that
formula.
That's, you know, when we think of Zelda, that took 6 years to arrive on the Switch, and it being a perfectly well put together game, I'm like, go do that, guys. Go, you know, everybody go do that. Take your time.
Well, most studios would have gone bankrupt several times over, like in that time, like, you know.
I myself, Craig, have been, in honor of Final Fantasy. This is a Final Fantasy episode. We're talking about Rebirth. I have been playing nothing but, and a lot of it on my PlayStation Portal, by the way, which is just glorious. Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I'm on my second ever playthrough. I thought I would have played through more than once.
I've played through it at least 5 times.
This is my second ever playthrough. So I played it through on normal, finished the game back when it came out in 2020 or 2021, whenever it was.
And then what, you just stopped playing? What's wrong with you?
I know. Well, playing it now, I'm kind of thinking, what's wrong with me? Because I must have, maybe I just burnt myself out, because I think I immediately tried to play the game on hard mode and got like 3 or 4 chapters in and was like, oh, this was too soon. Like, I need to give it a break.
But it's so different. For me, hard mode in Remake is just
game.
the next stage, because there's so much great materia in the game that you never really get to use. Like, by the time you complete the game on normal mode, your HP is still plus 20%. You know, like, it's got nowhere to what it could get to.
But I have to say, I'm glad I put it away for so long, because playing through with the whole game now on hard mode, and I am a chapter and a boss fight away from getting my platinum trophy.
See, that's what happened to you. You went for the platinum, and you probably did one of the chapters over and over again to try and get the secret dress. And that would definitely burn you out, because that's bullshit. And you shouldn't do that.
The dress trophy is frustrating, but like, that's already done and gone. I did that a while ago. I got that one out of the way, and it was real nice. But now I have a boss fight to do in the combat simulator, and then finishing the last chapter will be the last trophy. So finishing the game will get me the platinum. I'm glad I left it like that, you know.
You're trying to space it out to do it correctly.
Yeah. So my 2023 release game of the year was Final Fantasy 16. Like, when we were talking about like what we'd like to win back in the day when the Game Awards was coming up, I always said Final Fantasy 16 was my game of the year. Because it came out in 2023. But my legitimate game of the year that I've played this year, regardless of when it came out, is Final Fantasy 7 Remake. That game is close to perfection, Craig.
We've just giving it the Game of the Year award every year. We'll be like Donkey with Super Mario Brothers 2. It gives it every single year.
But it's story-wise, I guess there's a bit extra that you and I would get out of it, because we have the nostalgia. We played the original story. We've consumed all Final Fantasy content up to this point. But the game itself on hard mode is so well balanced.
Yeah, it's so vastly different as well.
And the combat is so astonishingly in-depth and cool, and the music is like I play it with headphones on pretty much all the time. The only way to play it. Nobuo Uematsu's just like, the guy's a genius, and there's so many new songs that have come in, but they now have a place in like Final Fantasy musical lore that I'm like, these new songs are fucking amazing. But I was playing it in the hopes that I would like platinum it in maybe end of December, beginning of January, and then only have a small gap before Rebirth comes out at the end of February. But I've been playing it so much that I'm pretty much like, I'm at the end, and I'm devastated that I'm at the end, because I'm like, oh, what did I do for those 2 months? You know,
at least you have 2 months to just try and forget about it a little bit, so that when you do play Rebirth for the first time, it'll feel fresh.
Yeah,
again,
exactly. Not like what I did with Horizon, where I platinum Zero Dawn and immediately went into platinum Forbidden West and never wanted to play an open world game again. Like, that was too much. But it's a perfect game, and it's gotten me super excited just in general to consume Final Fantasy VII anything. And watching that trailer that we saw, so we sat down and watched the Game Awards. We'll get into the episode, I suppose. As well.
That's the start.
We'll break down our plan is to break down the trailer bit by bit and talk about kind of certain scenes, and maybe kind of continue on our tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, what we think is going to go on. But Game Awards came on. Everyone was expecting a Rebirth trailer, and the interesting thing about it was we got what was called the theme song trailer. And they played a new theme song from Rebirth, and the trailer for the Game Awards was only about a minute and a half. There was no dialogue. It was just the song on a couple of scenes, and I was like, oh, interesting. That was kind of cool. And we were all a little bit disappointed. And I kind of said, well, I bet you Square Enix will release like a full-blown, there has to be a full-blown trailer for this. That's not very Square Enix-esque to bring out a trailer like that. Lo and behold, Game Award ends. Kev checks his phone. He's like, guys, there's a new trailer launch. So immediately, it was 4:30 in the morning, but we watched the Rebirth trailer. Before we break it down bit by bit, overall, did you enjoy the trailer?
I enjoyed the trailer. I loved hearing the Temple of the Ancients music. I like the new revamped version of that.
Very solemn, very slow, isn't it?
Yeah. I enjoyed all the various shots. I mean, just every single shot they showed looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I loved everything I saw. My gripe is that I wish I hadn't actually seen a lot of that, you know,
because there is a lot they do dump, and it's not so much. I think Yumi already said this when we first met up. It's not so much the character stuff or the story stuff that's bothering me, but there's a lot of places that, like, you've shown me so many places.
The only places we haven't seen are Gongaga, which is a place you can even skip in the original game. You don't have to go there.
And Temple of the Ancients, and I guess
Temple of the Ancients. That's what I was going to say. They're the only 2 locations in the whole game we haven't seen.
Yeah.
That are going to be in this game, because they've pretty much announced that Wutai won't be in it. I'm pretty sure Rocket Town isn't going to be in it, based on the way they showed Sid. And we got that final scene at the Forgotten Capital, if that was the same scene. I rewatched the trailer so many times, and like then I watched the 1997 PS1 version, and I'm like, is that the same location? Because there's not some blue orb behind Aerith in the original. Plus,
no, but this is what I mean.
But they're just going to do a redesign.
Yeah, but that's it. It's very hard to tell, because you're talking about a 1997 game where their vision was probably very limited by what they could actually do. So I mean, like, we've seen it, like, you know, in a remake.
I know, but if we're doing this whole straw hat thing, what I must have to say is there's no barrier. Like, in the place where Sephiroth comes down and stabs Aerith, it's very much like this circular area with like wooden beams. Yeah, and like it's almost like one of those old outdoor shelters. Yeah, you know. But there's no railings, and there's this big blue orb behind her.
But that being said, like, and this is what I mean about what they're probably likely to do in this game, is that in Final Fantasy VII, the original game, climbing the wall out of Market, What can I do? The Market Town? No, not Market Town. Oh my God. The sector, Wall Market, Jesus. Climbing the wall out of Wall Market was a 2-minute long section in the original
where
game.
You just put the battery in.
You put the battery in the fan and off you go. Whereas
just shimmy up the vines.
Yeah, I spent 2 hours doing a chapter.
I love that they made a whole chapter out of that.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute.
So, and that's what I mean. I think they're to me.
They're embellishing, of course, and they would. Yeah.
And
I just, as someone who has the tinfoil hat on and was deep diving, I'll just let you know that like I played the PS1 era death scene, and I played the end of the trailer, and I played them both simultaneously.
Nice.
Trying to get all the different clues,
full blown.
What I must say though is that if you switch over to the Japanese translation. Like, because in the English version, Aerith just says, "Please lend me your strength."
Yes, at the very end of the trailer.
Yes. Which I don't know if you know, but if you ever summon anything with Aerith,
that's what she says.
That's exactly what she says. So it's a summon material. It's a summoning. But in the Japanese version, directly translated, the dialogue is, "Oh planet, please help us." So she's talking directly to the planet. Like she addresses the planet.
Craig, I can't wait. I love this shit.
Yeah.
I love going.
I mean, this is all probably means nothing, but like
I'll talk about it forever.
Every word, and I'm just like, what could that mean?
I'll talk about it forever. So, starting of the trailer, let's get into it. We'll go scene by scene. I have the trailer broken down here. If you guys are listening and you haven't seen the trailer yet, pause the podcast, watch the trailer, and then unpause the podcast, and we're about to go ham. So, the trailer starts off with the words on screen. The world will be saved, but will you?
For the second time.
Yes.
The second trailer also started with those exact words. And those exact words should be looked at in a bit more detail. Yeah. Like, who's saying that to us? And how do they know that the planet will be saved? Yeah. If that's the case, should we just stop now?
But the world will be saved, but will you? So, like, I mean, who is the you in this situation? Are we talking about the classic Aerith? Is she going to be saved? Is she going to die? Are we looking at, Zack, who is essentially alive when he shouldn't be? So... is him being there means the world will be saved, but he won't survive. So many questions.
Humanity,
so many questions. Yeah,
it's odd because they open with that on 2 trailers.
Yes, which means it's got to have a significant amount of importance. That phrase, what they're trying to
theoretically.
Yes. Yeah. Who knows, Greg? So the first scene is Zack fighting off the Shinra soldiers, which is the scene kind of at the end of Crisis Core. And in the normal game, in the original canon storyline from the 1997 Final Fantasy, Zack gets killed here. Mm-hmm. In this one, we know he doesn't. We know that he survives the fight. And interestingly enough, he says something along the lines of like...
I know exactly what he says.
I felt every bullet.
I felt every bullet.
Yeah.
In the Japanese translation, that's not what he says.
Interesting. Oh, listen, lay it on me.
I watch both back and forth. In the Japanese translation, what Zack says is... Hold on. I wrote it down, didn't I? It definitely was windy. That's what he says. It definitely was windy. For me, that scene then and it even the way even his tone is, that suggests to me like he's bragging about having killed hundreds of Shinra soldiers.
I think he's
talking to Biggs. It's that conversation between those two, and he's like, "Oh man, I had hundreds of them against me. I could feel every bullet. I was up against the wall." It feels like that type of conversation.
I was going to say that interesting that you think that he'd say it to Biggs. My impression was that, because we do see later on in the trailer that he's looking after an unconscious Aerith. My thing was that like he's telling the story to an unconscious Aerith, and he was like, "I felt every bullet."
Quite possible too, yeah.
Because
some people talk to people in comas.
Exactly, why not?
I wouldn't. I'd be like, "This is a complete waste of time." I'll tell Biggs because that matters.
Yeah, because he's awake. The next scene in it is Bugenhagen with Red and Barrett, and what we assume is at the Cave of the Gi, the entrance. It looks to me like the entrance to the cave, and it's cool because we kind of finally see, Bugenhagen in the original game was just floating around on a
little orb thing. He does have the orb. It's just a lot smaller.
Yes,
but it is there.
It is there. But I was like looking at it, being like, "Oh, that looks, legitimate in this world." As
his
opposed
voice
to
is really cool.
His voice is very cool. Yeah.
And all the like braided hair and the earrings. And
shit.
He just seems like a kind of hippie type character.
And is he blind or almost blind? His eyes seemed kind of washed out.
From what I could tell, it looked like he was blind.
Yeah,
all right.
Which is just adds.
There's no way of knowing for sure, but it did have that kind of look.
Adds to the mystique of it all. Like,
maybe his orb knows where to go. Like it's like one of those vacuums that when it hits a wall, it changes direction. So he can never. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's safe. It's got barriers. It's kind of that scene made me excited for and we'll see more of it in the trailer as well. The characters developing, not just Cloud. Like this, we know that all these characters got their side story, and Red 13 kind of got his in, Cosmo Canyon when you first go there, and it looks like they're going deeper. But interestingly enough, in the second trailer, we see that Barrett and Red 13 are fighting
also together.
Yes, they're fighting the boss, which is like just this new boss in the game. And I kind of thought, the party must have gotten split in the cave.
Interesting, right?
But this looks like, it looks like they're going in together without the other guys. It
looks like it's Barrett, Red 13, and Bugenhagen, and nobody else.
Yeah.
And because my theory is that with every single dungeon in the game, you will have control of every party member, and that's what they were trying and establish when you were in Hojo's lab. I remember the party were split in two. Yeah. So I think like so the Mitchell caves, we know they split up because we've seen the boss fight and we've seen Barrett and thing. And now in this, the Cave of the Gi, we see just Barrett and Red 13. Yeah. So I have a funny feeling that Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and maybe Yuffie are in another 2 party and another 2. So there could even be 3 parties of 2. Yeah. Because they've at that point in the game, you 6 characters. Yeah. So why would there only be 2 if there wasn't? If then you'd have 4 in the other party, that would be a bit odd. So it could be one of those cases where like you have to go left, you have to go right. Someone takes the center,
switch the party,
and you all have to start hitting switches.
Phone in, hit the PHS system and call your buddies.
But I just think it would just be a really good way to try and use more of the characters.
Yeah.
Because again, one of my biggest worries was that I'm just going to use Aerith and, to be fair, Aerith and Barrett, and then never use anyone else.
You like the idea of being forced
to use characters. Kind of like Final Fantasy 9, everyone got their time in the sun because you were constantly like characters were getting left behind or going other places. So you pretty much had your party. You didn't get to pick your party.
Yeah.
But that way, at least you played with the characters.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's going to be good. Straight after that, then we get a shot of Vincent's face, and he's looking down at Cloud. He's got his gun pointed at Cloud. Cloud's got the Buster Sword out, and all Vincent says is "your foe."
Your foe, yeah.
And Cloud responds, Sephiroth.
Which is like the perfect thing to say.
Yes, because I guess that's all you need to say to Vincent for him to be like, yeah, I'm with you guys. I got your back, you know? Like, I'm very excited about that scene as a whole. Do you know what I mean? When they all come together to meet Vincent. Super excited about it, because you can even see Yuffie in the background. She's got her shuriken out as well. She's ready to fight. So I'm like, this is what I mean about a modern day Final Fantasy game. When you had such great characters in the original, that what the original was lacking was kind of like
depth to those characters.
Depth
we
and
were
a
filling
character
in the
development.
blanks with our own stories, but we never
knew
knew what they were like.
Yes, and the relationships.
Because you know, Vincent only has one line of dialogue in the entire original game.
Oh my god! And like you have to go to the
Sid. When it's in the Halloween mansion,
yeah,
Sid is asleep when you guys are doing your backstory about like what's happened so far. At the very, very end, Vincent walks up to Sid and goes, "Hey, you going to sleep? I don't want to like lock you out of the room or something like that." And that's it. That's his only line of dialogue.
It's so funny that a character like that, I guess, just either with the fandom or with Nomura and the team, they just love Vincent anyway, because A, he got his own game. B, in the movie Advent Children, he's definitely a favorite. Like he got lots of screen time.
Tifa, and Cloud are the main characters. Yeah, everyone else is just a couple of seconds, but those three are like big parts.
Yeah, exactly.
And Reno and Rude, but that's because everyone loves them.
Oh, what a duo! What a duo! So we get Vincent, like, and that's what I mean. I'm so interested to see what his reaction to the party is, and how, like, because you've got.
How far into the game do you think that scene will be? I bet that's like 75% through the game.
So you come across Vincent before you come across Sid, or is it vice versa?
You would come across Vincent first, but in this game, because I'm pretty sure Sid has established a bunch of air bases around the map, and that's what they're doing. So you're going to see Sid way earlier than you're going to see Vincent. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Vincent at Junon just saying goodbye to his Highwind or something, like, you know.
Yeah, or see Sid at Junon saying goodbye to his Highwind.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah. But I don't think you'll see Vincent until very end. Like the same way it was with Red 13.
He strikes me as we'll give you a little teaser of this character. You can enjoy him at the very end.
Because he's just too cool. Like if you were gonna like have him in the game and him be like, they would have introduced him much earlier. But because it's so late in the game, I'm just like, that's why he's not playable. Because because even if it was halfway through the game, I'd be demanding to play as him. So I think it has to be like similar to Red 13, how he was really only the
last two chapters essentially. You got to play as Red 13. Yeah, that's where I am right now in my remake playthrough. I just Reds with the crew. The next scene, which I'm a big fan of this scene, because like I called it. You guys go listen to the first episode where we're talking about Final Fantasy, and I was like, we got two timelines, and Zach's gonna have his own team. His own team of like the B team or whatever else, the leftovers. Lo and behold, what do we see in this next scene of the trailer? It's Biggs bemoaning the fact that he has survived when none of the other members of Avalanche have, to none other than Zach. Yeah. And I was like, that's the shit I want to see. I love that those two could be a duo. You know what I mean? I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm buying right into it. And I hope, and this is my question to you. Me and Kev talked about this. Zach, we know we're going to get a bit more about Zach than we expected in terms of playtime. It seems, even by this trailer alone, there's a lot of Zach content.
There's a lot of Zach content.
Do you only play as Zach? So my impression is that I think you'll have a team, but you'll only be able to play as Zach. And much like Vincent or Red 13, you'll have people fighting around you, but you can't control them. Mm-hmm. Do you think Biggs is one of those?
See, it's so hard. I honestly think that everything to do with Zach won't be playable, and he'll just be involved in every time you complete a chapter with Cloud, you'll have 5 minutes of Zach.
You don't think Zach's going to be playable?
In a kind of cutscene type thing.
Interesting.
I feel they would have done that in I think as they would have released it as DLC and just had him do the bombing mission again. Because why not? That's free money. And I just feel that they would have done that if he was playable. Because even if they were, how do you differentiate him from Cloud? Otherwise, he just is going to play as the same.
So I think you differentiate him by, because we're going to get the whole twisty twist in this game.
Plus, you got to remember that for whatever reason, I've no idea why, but Zack arrives at Midgar when all of the bombing missions and all that stuff has already been done.
Yeah.
Everyone attempted to flee from Midgar and they died on that bridge.
Yeah.
Right where they should have died in the first game, but the Whisper saved them. But during that scene, like, what was I going to say? So there's nothing really left to do in Midgar.
Yeah.
From then for the rest of the party. So I just think that Zack is going to be doing his own thing,
and you think it's purely through cutscenes.
And I don't think he'll ever leave Midgar. I think he'll be in the same way we were in Midgar for all of the first game. I think he'll be in Midgar for all of the first game. Because I don't know if they want us to know yet if there are 2 timelines or 1 timeline. Even though they accidentally already spoiled it, because I am now certain that there's 2 timelines.
What makes you certain that there's? I mean, I was always like 98% sure there's 2 timelines. What's giving your certainty?
It was just because, like when we. Do you know the way it was revealed that there was a Beagle timeline and a Terrier timeline? Yes. It's just that we saw Zack with the Terrier timeline, but when we came out of the portal and Barrett was like, "Did anything change? Everything looks the same." It was kind of like, well, what did we do? Have we come back to our own timeline, or are we now in the Terrier timeline? It didn't actually tell us.
No.
So there's no way to know for sure if everything is the Terrier timeline now.
Yeah.
But in the previous trailer, when Cloud is marching, do you know when you see him marching with all the other Shinra soldiers?
Yeah.
In the background, you can very clearly see Stamp, and it's the Beagle stamp.
So we're still in the same timeline.
We're still in Era timeline.
Excellent.
And I love just having that confirmed.
Yes,
I now that like cuts all the theories in half.
Yeah.
You know.
And I wanted that for continuity because it makes my theory crafting easier, knowing that we're in the same timeline. So you get that cool thing about them talking to each other, and then we get a cool section of like lots of walking through areas. So first we get Cloud walking through Calm, then we see him walking through Junon in the soldier gear. Then we see him, it looks like the boat on the way to Costa del Sol.
Which is now no longer a tanker, but a kind of luxury liner.
Yeah, it seems like to be a bit of a cruise ship.
More like a yacht, like a cruise, exactly a cruise ship, which makes a lot of sense going to a place like Costa del Sol,
Yeah, then we got a little run around of the Golden Saucer lobby area, it seems to be. Then we get a quick glimpse of the Haunted Mansion, followed by the Coral Prison, which is underneath the Gold Saucer. Yeah. Interestingly enough is the dialogue in this bit, because we're getting more and more of the Cloud coming to terms with the fact that maybe everything isn't okay in his brain, where he says to Tifa something along the lines of like, I have no memory of things that I should, and I know things I have no right of knowing. Yeah. Which is like alluding to the fact that, you're a bit messed up, and it's Tifa then responds to me like, don't worry, you saved me once before, let me look after you. Yeah.
So that implies that they've had that conversation where Cloud revealed that he did save her at Nibelheim, and she believes him that actually did happen. But because in the original that wasn't the case. Cloud said all that and Tifa was like, you weren't there, what the fuck are you talking about? And whereas now it seems she believes and she remembers that, because even in the first trailer, like Zack is talking about how Zack was with him. He's like, where are you, what happened, so it does seem now that Cloud isn't as fuzzy in the head about that incident. At least he seems to be fuzzy in the head now because he's probably experiencing multiple timelines at once. Yeah,
with all those little when we were playing the end of remake and stuff like that, he got a lot of the visions of the future or things that had already happened.
We saw in the first game, he saw the materia fall on the ground after she stabbed, and then a tear formed in his eye.
He was sad.
It's like he relived that moment,
And what's cool about just in terms of the crafting the storyline for this whole Cloud plot twist, where you realize that Cloud didn't do all those things. He's not Soldier First Class, anything like that. There's a cool bit in remake, because I'm just playing through it right now, where at the very beginning of the game, Tifa's showing you around town, let you know how to do things, and she's kind of like, you've changed a little bit, and he says something along the lines of like, well, 5 years can really change a guy, and Tifa just goes, huh?
Because does she say, huh? I don't know if she says anything like that.
I think she just goes,
I've experienced that 5 times, remember?
But she doesn't acknowledge the fact that
in the original game, he does say 5 years, and then when she's recapping later on, she goes, it was odd that you said that because it's actually been 7 years. Which is odd, because why wouldn't Tifa remember that? But again, I put this out before, she also didn't remember being 10 years old, walking out onto the bridge and then falling, which Cloud was scarred for and blamed for, and everyone in the village.
Here we go, the anti-Tifa.
No, I'm just saying that she's, her memory loss is very convenient.
Yeah. For the things that suit her. So that was a cool bit of dialogue between the two of them. We then get the kind of the Coral Prison, I guess, ringleader, the guy who kind of coaxes you in to get into Chocobo Racing. To get
a lot of people online think that that's a new character, but it's not. It's just the same guy. He's wearing the same green suit.
Yeah, he's just a big glow. Like with every character, they've all glowed up. I love it. Do you know what I mean? All the detail.
They also pretty much any time you see an actor, they're very like animated.
Yes.
Like they're always like, I knew, you know,
Yeah,
like
it's
they're doing a lot with their hands, which
very,
I love. I do a lot with my hands too. Even right now, I'm waving around, like, you know. I like the overacting thing.
Yeah,
just
it's
for
great.
drama.
For just
very
exactly.
fun.
And then he's like, you know, talks to Cloud and says, you know, he's like saying which one of you is going to do it, which I assume is to race the Chocobo. And then he says, only joking, it's the spiky-haired fella. So it's like, okay, so Cloud's
but it might not be, because I mean, we haven't got to that part in the trailer just yet. But when Cloud was talking to Dio, it didn't seem like he was being arrested, you know? And even Kate Sid, I think, is like, now go. Like, as though he's setting up a fight between you and Dio or something.
I think there's going to be something that happens that causes... It seems like everybody's getting on, but I think something will happen after that causes your arrest. Or maybe you can't get into the Gold Saucer. Maybe it's not a case of you get thrown into prison, but to get to the Gold Saucer, it's kind of like, oh, you need that golden ticket to get up there. So maybe you're not imprisoned per se, but you make your way into Coral Prison.
Maybe
you
make
your way up.
Oh, that's possible.
Like, because the Golden Saucer is like, you know, the high flyers all go there. So something like that maybe.
Or maybe Barrett could find out that Diane is in the prison.
And that's
but
why
there's no way to get into the prison. You can't visit. So he has to commit a crime to get put in.
To go see Diane.
That could be a new way of doing it.
And this, you know, I think, is that up next? No, we got a little Dio and Cloud facing off against each other. Do you know what I mean? And that, like, you know, where he kind of gives Cloud a little word of wisdom, and then the two of them are like getting ready, I guess, for their fight.
Yeah. I just definitely feel like it won't be a case of you, Eret, and Kate Sid walk into a room and everyone's dead, and then Dio comes in and says, it must have been you. I think that the whole scene is going to be completely different.
But I mean, because again, it's, you know, you're talking about games made in 1997.
Yeah,
that was kind of
you wouldn't get away with that now. Like the amount of people who are now in the Gold Saucer, like there should be 100 people in that room.
There'll be a case of mistaken identity or something like that. Like a more believable reason as to why you might get
My
arrested.
theory is that they'll find out Diane is in the prison and Barrett will commit a crime to get sent down.
Yeah, which I like the idea of.
I think that'd be really, really cool.
The next one is, and this is an interesting one because you and me talked about this and you were quite disappointed by this scene. The next scene is Sid it's our first introduction to a talking Sid, and he's speaking to Aerith.
I was definitely disappointed because it shows Sid and he's like, Aerith, I want to help. What can I do? Yeah. And as soon as I saw that, I went, Sid would never say that. Yeah. Just so you know, Sid and Aerith in the original game have zero dialogue together. Zero. Yeah. So for him to say anything to Aerith is out of left field. But like the fact that he is being nice when his entire character arc is about being bad. And the reason, because I've rewatched all the trailers now and I've really focused on what the guys actually did when they went through that rift and changed the whispers. And in the very first, do you know what we said in the second and third trailer that the line comes up, will the world be saved?
Yeah.
The world will be saved, but will you? But in the first trailer, it's Aerith voicing over the first trailer, and she says, what we've done is set in stone. The past is forever, but the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past. Mm-hmm. That to me is Aerith talking directly to us and being like, okay, everything you've done is fine, but because we've made changes now, things that are going to happen are going to be different because now the whispers are out from this point.
You think we get a nice Sid?
So I think... like the same way in the Costa del Sol it was a tanker and now it's a lovely luxury liner. Now we have Madame M who's in the trailer. We have Andre Rodeo. They've all just suddenly upped and left Midgar, you know. Then we have what was I going to say? Sorry, we have a somewhat lovely Sid who it was in the blog thing that you could read, but it says in that Sid Highwind now has a bunch of airfields around the world and he'll fly you out of those locations. Yeah. So for me, something happened with Destiny and either maybe he already married Sierra, he already went to the moon or something, but now in the future he's happy because he gets to fly his tiny Bronco to all these locations. So it's a changed Sid.
Interesting take. I don't think they'll take it that far. I think what we get is new because we don't get Sid and Aerith talking to each other at all in the original game. Yep. But
we also don't get a nice Sid in the entire game.
No, we don't. But we've never had, like, Aerith is a hugely popular individual with everybody throughout the game, especially when you're playing Remake. Everybody loves Aerith. Everybody knows Aerith. Everyone around town is like, oh, Aerith, help, and you give us the medicine. And everyone loves Aerith. And I have a funny feeling that the game has done so well, the remake has done so well at developing all of the characters. Do you know what I mean? Give them a little bit extra than what they had before. And I don't want a nice Cid, and I don't think we're going to get a nice Cid, but I think Cid will have a soft spot for Aerith, but will still be, and I hope so. I hope I'm right in saying this because it's what I want. I have no problem with him being nice to Aerith because Aerith's like so lovely, and how could you be angry at Aerith? How could you be grumpy with Aerith? But he'll be a bit of a jerk to everyone else, but just likes Aerith. Yeah. And it's that section of the trailer is kind of out of context, so we don't know why he's saying that. Has Aerith just done something really, really nice for Cid?
Because that's the only dialogue we hear from Cid. For me, the developers, the writers of the game, want us to know that that's a very different Cid. You know, so that leads me to believe that, like, basically in the first game, they made it point blank the exact same as the first game with just adding extra dialogue and stuff but the places you go, the things you did were in the exact same sequence, and like even the Whispers of Fate made sure it remained that way. The fact that they're now dead, I feel like the people who made the game, like the people at Square, they now want to do things slightly different, you know? So again, like with this scene with Dyne, they're going to be like, you know what, that scene where Barrett is convicted of being a killer, of murdering, that didn't make a lot of sense. Let's do something else. And now they can get away with that because the Whispers are dead. So they can rewrite that as they see fit. But it's mainly to keep the fans happy, you know, because they're basically saying Final Fantasy VII, that's its own game. We're going off script now. And we're allowed to do that because that was the whole point of killing the Whispers, is now anything can happen. And we are going to make changes. We're going to have people go generally to the same places and the same story. But if it didn't really make sense or it didn't work, we're going to tweak it. You know? And for me, that's why they've tweaked Cid, because they didn't want to give him a cigar. So they're going to go, you know what, maybe let's make him a nicer guy. You know what's
disappointing about because the fact that he had like a pack of cigarettes in his goggles all the time and he was always smoking. I'll be disappointed if they don't give him a cigarette, because
they're not going to give him a cigarette.
They recently came out with the age rating, the maturity rating, and on the rating that they've given it, it does allow drugs.
Does it?
Yeah. So I'm
pretty sure it doesn't allow suicide though, right?
No suicide.
So Dyne his story has to change.
Unless they could put it as a more accidental battle between him and Barrett and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's not true suicide in the terms of the seriously harrowing suicide. He kind of just like, you know, falls off.
I know, but I also looked at the age rating and I'm just like, oh, it doesn't have to work. Because usually when there's a suicide in something, they have to tell you. Like you see it on shows all the time. So I was
like, look how deep you're going, Craig.
Oh, big time. I told you. I properly analysed this.
Yeah.
But I see the fact that they showed Dyne's face and even him and Barrett were reliving the conversation. I was like, that's a massive spoiler. Like, I liked when you saw the back of Dyne's head.
Yes.
I was like, that's cool. But then it showed his face instantly after. And I went, oh, that's too much. Why did you do that?
Yeah. And I'm a bit different in that because I think I was saying it to you guys in my new playthrough of Remake. I have, you know, it hit me at one point that I was like, oh my God, Barrett's not the real father of Marlene. And all the care that he's given her and all those lovely joyous moments with Marlene and Barrett. I'm like, crap.
You would just assume that, like, the mother was a white woman or something. Like it didn't enter my head that like, oh.
And it only clicked with me that I was like, crap, Barrett isn't her actual dad. Like her dad is Dyne fucking in the Coral prison. Yeah. And any scene that I have with that, it's like anytime Barrett's really given it his all, not only is he giving it all to look after Marlene, but he's given it his all to look after Marlene in memory of his like best mate. And like I'm so excited to see the
and his
Dyne
own
story.
wife and Dyne's wife too.
Yeah, the whole like everybody. And anytime I playing that now in Remake, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see how this develops.
It's just because I know everyone knows about Aerith, but I don't think everyone knew about Dyne.
No.
You know, like that's something that could, like, you'd have to have played the game to know that. Nobody talks about that in the same way they talk about what happened to Aerith.
Yeah.
So it was odd to me that they spoiled that. You know, they just flat out said, like, I'm Marlene's father in the trailer. And I was like, that means it's going to play out different. So, and I already know he can't commit suicide.
So I don't know if it's going to play out different. I think Barrett and him will still fight. I think Dyne's going to still be, I think it'll be the same esque story. And I think in Barrett and trying to not kill him will inadvertently kill him. That classic, like, I don't want to fight you, but I fight you and I kill you anyway. I still think that's going to happen because I think we're going to get a messed up Dyne. But I love that story is going to be, and I hope it doesn't change too much, because thinking back on it now, that's like the depth of that and how serious that storyline is so good. And the fact that it'll be fleshed out in a Rebirth Final Fantasy 7 PS5 graphics kind of thing, I'm so excited for that whole section. The Coral Prison, I'm so excited for
that. Chat with Barrett and Dyne is far more aggressive in the Japanese version. Just, you know, it's another thing I wrote down from the Japanese version.
But I'm glad you've said that, because I thought they were being, I don't want.
It looked kind of lovey-dovey, didn't it? Like it looked like they were both kind of sad.
Barrett's comforting Dine in the second. He comes into the trailer again in the second scene, and Barrett's comforting him. And I didn't really want that. I want Dine to be like completely messed up. You've stolen my daughter from me. That kind of like get away from me type. I want that Dine. Do you know what I mean? But if you're saying it's more aggressive in Japanese,
yeah, he responds very harshly. So in the real version, they're just talking, and he's just like, I can't believe you said that. But in the Japanese version, it translates to, curse you, Barrett, why the hell would you tell me she's alive? Like, so he didn't want to know that. Like, that immediately messed with him. So it unhinged him, like, in the Japanese version. So I'm just like, okay, that sounds a bit more.
And that's what I mean.
Like
because there'll be a lot of hate in Dine because it's like, why didn't you find me and tell me sooner? It's my daughter. How, you've stolen my daughter and you're living your life with my daughter. Like, I mean, yes, it's going to be so good. Moving on from that, because we still have a good bit of trailer to cover.
How are we on time?
We're only 40 minutes, so we're good.
We're at 40 minutes?
We're at 40 minutes.
Shit, we're not even halfway through the trailer.
Well, the second half of the trailer has less dialogue for us to cover.
That's true.
So that'll be okay. So we're talking now. We get a scene with a new showcase of summons. We get Titan. We get who else do we get? We get Titan. We get Phoenix, and we get Bahamut. Bahamut Arisen, I think, is what it's called.
Oh, very good. You got that. Yeah.
Listen, I do a bit of reading myself, Craig.
Bahamut is my favorite summon, and I'm a little peeved that there's so many versions of him now, especially in Final Fantasy VII, because there's Bahamut Sin in Advent Children. Yeah. There's Neo and there's Zero in the original 7.
And now we have...
And there was on top of original Bahamut, and now we have Arisen. So that's 5 Bahamuts in Final Fantasy 7.
Alone, like, yeah. And they all looked cool. Titan looked great. I like the Titans a bit more of the more... Well, I'd say the classic Titan now, because, in Final Fantasy 14 and in the game since, Titan's taken on a bit more of a monstrous look as opposed to human, where in the original Final Fantasy 7, he just looked like a big person, human. Yeah.
Well, in all the original Final Fantasies, he was just a big guy.
Yeah.
So I like, at least in this one, he doesn't look like a human. Like, he has that kind of armored scale. He's like a Titan from Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
and I love that. Like, I think they did him really well in Final Fantasy 16. Yeah. Like, that's
Do you think, now that we've seen Titan. Phoenix, do you think that we get a obtaining Phoenix side quest at Fort Condor?
Yes. Because I don't know if you watched the demo of the game, Maximilian dude upload, and I just watched him play for a bit. But one of the scenes is when you come out of, I think, Mithril Caves or whatever, the Condor actually swoops down and grabs one of the robed people,
the reunion dudes,
and just flies off with it. Probably the Fort Condor, and then like Barrett or Red 13 is just like, oh, it's from an old Condor that used to be up the road there. And because there are side missions and stuff like that, I assume that Phoenix is going to be like halfway through the game, you'll unlock the side quest to go back to the original, and you'll fly back there with Sid and do this.
But we know that that's what they want us to do, because they've talked about how the Chocobos and unlocking Chocobos will unlock other areas in the areas you've been to previously.
But I just think that other than that, like, even in the first areas of the game, like when we get to but if we complete chapter 2, say, and then all of a sudden we're at Costa del Sol, I think by getting to Costa del Sol, suddenly we'll have unlocked more side missions on that first part of the map. Yeah, so I think there'll always be reason to go back and go forward.
Which I'm excited by, because, as like I said, remake my game of the year this year, essentially. But it is very, very linear. Yeah, and that was.
I think they're really going the opposite with this, and they want you to go to travel to and from places. It's not going to be a case of, oh, here's Calm, now do your 3 side quests for Calm, and then you're finished there. Yeah, I think you'll get like 2 side quests with Calm, and then when you get to Junon, you'll unlock another one at Calm. So they'll give you reasons to keep coming back.
Yeah, which is what I was hoping that they would do. So fingers crossed. Next we get. We click. Well, this is the Dine now discussing Marlene with Barrett. We've kind of already gone through that in terms of we're kind of happy, not happy about that scene. This next scene, I'm going to go heavy on my theories here, Craig. Right?
What is it?
This is the last scene before we get the actual theme song. Music. So it is. It's Marlene talking to Zack with a sick Cloud in a wheelchair in the background. So we now know we're back in we're back in Terrier timeline. Yeah. I like the way we should forever refer to these as Terrier timeline.
Terrier and Beagle.
Timeline. So we're now back in Terrier timeline, and Marlene says when she wakes up, the bad man's going to kill her. Mm-hmm. And here's my theory, Craig, right? Because we saw earlier on in the trailer, or later on in the trailer when the music is going, we see a Zack tending to an unconscious Aerith, right? Yeah. Assuming she's in a coma or whatever else. I have a feeling that in our Beagle timeline, which is with the OG crew, Aerith is still going to die.
Yes.
But
in the same way.
Yeah, in the same way. But the moment she dies, she wakes up.
I told you this. Yes, I also think that is my theory too. But this my theory is also it includes Aerith and it also includes Cloud when he falls. So I think Aerith will die in the Beagle timeline and be alive in the Terrier timeline.
Yeah.
But I think at the very, very end of this game, Cloud is going to fall into the life stream and then go into a coma in the Beagle timeline, but wake up in the Terrier timeline.
Oh, sick! Cloud wakes up.
So
in the
I
Terrier
think
timeline.
that'll be the transition that gets Cloud, and Cloud will be reunited with the same Aerith. You know, even though it's only briefly, because he's going to have to leave there eventually. You know, Tifa's going to wake him up.
That's so sad.
Wouldn't it? But it would be great.
It'd be amazing.
It would make perfect sense.
Not
that
only would
Cloud
he
is reunited with both Zack and Aerith,
and the
but only for a while.
The Zack he knew and the Aerith he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just a really good that concept. So I think that could be the thing at the end where because they keep comparing it to The Empire Strikes Back. So it has to end with something bad happening.
Yeah.
And it's going to be sad. But I do think maybe it'll be a case of, you know, the credits roll and all of a sudden Cloud's eyes open and fucking Zack's right there or Aerith's right there, you know, and they're like, wake up, sleepyhead.
He'll wake up on a, you know, exactly on a wheelchair, and Zack and Aerith will be discussing, and Aerith might be coy to be like pretending she doesn't know
but
Cloud.
You know how it'd be more of a teaser. He'd probably just wake up and he's in the chair and you don't see anyone else. You know, like they wouldn't even want you to say
that's a fantastic, because I never thought about the Cloud waking up, because Marlene saying when she wakes up the bad man's going to kill her means I'm like, okay, well Aerith has to, you know, this Aerith has to wake up, but what's a good reason? He's like, well, she dies and the timeline's connected somehow, so she'll die and wake up but have to face Sephiroth anyway.
Yeah.
But I didn't think of
That'd
Cloud
really,
waking
really
up.
Cool, right? But it would be a great way to transition across.
Yes.
So that Cloud would meet that Zack and would still be somewhat reunited with Aerith, but then have to leave that timeline and be absolutely broken to have to return. And it's like, you know, you have to go back, you have to save that world, you know.
And so
we've got everything covered here. Zack has assembled his team with Biggs and all the others, like, you know, maybe even dying, who knows, like, you know, he'll get all his crew sorted.
The dream
hopefully
team,
Yuffie's friend Sonon or something
is alive as well.
But I'd love to see that, you know, B team in the fucking Terrier timeline ready to fight Sephiroth. And it's like, here, we have to do it together. Yeah. And, you know, Cloud gets sent back or just woken up.
Because the interesting thing is, and this is, oh, my brain is exploded. I've just thought of loads of amazing things. Craig, Advent Children. Oh, God. Right. So the guys have come out and confirmed that the things still have to happen the same way because Advent Children will still be canon. So Advent Children is still going to happen.
But I just think at the end of this game, it'll all just merge back to the way it was, you know.
Yes, but what I love about this, your theory about the crossovers in terms of the timelines, is that I'm seeing Advent Children a whole new way. So let's say everything happens the way it happens, right? Cloud, anytime he's like failing or unconscious, you know, really struggling in that, he speaks to Zack and he speaks to Aerith.
That's
you know?
true, yeah.
But what if that is that? What if Nomura knew making Advent Children that these were a Zack and an Aerith that Cloud could speak to or touch or, like, you know, see through the live stream because they exist in a different timeline that we're going to experience.
Because you even remember, do you know how Advent Children ends and you just see Aerith and Zack
walking away,
and they're walking away, and like that's just where they are
in the other timeline.
It's possible, you know.
Oh my God, Nomura, you madman! I love that idea.
But I mean, like that is my theory of how that they would merge it. Yeah. Because they do it a lot. I mean, we saw Jesse's dad was in a coma, so I think he is in the Terrier timeline somewhere, like having a great time with Jesse, like, you know.
Wow. So that ends the trailer up until the point we get into the theme song. We've got about 10 minutes left to hash through the rest of this. So we're going to go through.
It shouldn't be too bad because a lot of this is like, we're seeing shots of, say, Aerith, but it's also like the same moments with Tifa and Barrett.
Exactly. So we won't have to go through too much. So we start off with the actual theme song of the new game and Aerith kind of on stage singing it. Not the voice actor, obviously, but Aerith singing it. The next scene is Jessie dancing, and it seems to be on the same stage or in the Golden Saucer. Interestingly enough,
read the blog, right? So you know what that is.
A VR
simulator. I'm
so
like, that's awful, right?
No. So my thing about it is that Jessie, because we are in, like, I don't know who's experiencing watching Jessie. I'm assuming it's the Beagle timeline team, right? But interestingly enough, if that is the case, we know that Jessie died, but we also know that she did try out a Golden Saucer, but she never got like the leading role. So they'll go to the Golden Saucer and they'll watch some stuff and it'll be real sad because they'll see a VR thing of like a previous show that Jessie was in, and like, because I'm not satisfied with the Jessie death in Remake.
Either am I, especially how they teed it up, the whole Gold Saucer thing. And like that's why I kept saying that we are going to see her at the Gold Saucer, which we know now that we are, but it's going to be in a very, very small role.
In a very small, and it's not that she's alive again or can join the team, it's just that they're watching a recording of Jessie in the Gold Saucer previously.
Do you know, like Jessie wanted like so much to be a dancer, and she lived with other dancers in Midgar, all hoping to like make it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like their AI problem is way worse than our AI problem, and we have a huge AI problem. How does anyone get a job? Like, if they're using dancers from 5 years ago still, then how are you supposed to ever get a job as a dancer?
But see, I don't know if it's like, I think it's maybe you can just go through the records or something like that, and maybe one of the team just spots like, oh, Jesse, that was the show Jesse was in, and they watch it. And
like,
and
let's
Jesse.
play that version.
Because I need them to be sad about the Jesse thing again, because
they just wanted to include
there's
Jesse.
There's one line, man, in the English, because I play remake in English because the 99% of the voices are amazing. And when Jesse's dying, Cloud comes up with this stupid line.
You owe me a pizza.
You still owe me a pizza. Yeah. And it ruins everything. And I'm like,
bad.
I was like, fuck, I wanted like a real, because, you know, Jessie is big in that game. She's like almost like the third choice of, you know, is it Aerith?
For a lot of people, she was the first choice. And I think that's something they got wrong in Remake, because like Cloud was always a dickhead to Tifa and Jessie at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Whereas in Remake, he is softening a little to Jessie. Mm-hmm. You know, like he's not treating her terribly the way he does at the very start. Like he's just like, shut the hell up. You know, I don't want to listen to any of this, because it's supposed to be that Aerith melts Cloud, like, you know, and it does happen in Remake, but you can see Jessie also picking away at that a little bit.
And I like that though. I enjoyed that, because it was like it seems quite human and normal. She's like a real kind of super preppy, uppy person that, you know, at some point Cloud being surrounded by that has to crack a smile somewhere or crack a joke, and he does it in with Biggs and Wedge, and it's all like a cool little, like when you do that mission with them and you're a cool little group and they're all being like, come on Cloud.
It was a great addition. And it, like, I loved Remake for that, because I was like, oh man, now it's going to hurt so much more when they go. But to be honest, it didn't really hurt me when they went, because every single one of them had a 5-minute monologue before they died.
Biggs,
and I hated that.
Biggs died twice. I think he had like a pass out but then wake up and talk to Cloud some more before he actually died. And the thing about it is that we know that Wedge didn't die, because he didn't die in the Remake.
He then did at the end, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, you won't find anyone online talking about that, because nobody knows what really happened there. But from my opinion, like, he was very clearly on like the 60th floor, whatever, on the skyscraper. Wind was pushing him back. The whispers were pushing him back, and then the glass shattered. For me, he's dead. He has to be dead, because you can't survive that, you know. But I don't know what they're going to do. But and like, even people like Maximilian Dood and all those guys, nobody talks about Wedge, because they have no idea. But for me, he's dead, and he has to have been killed. I think what happened in that is that the Whispers have to protect the main story from happening. And because Wedge is such an insignificant character,
it doesn't matter.
They didn't have to stop him from dying. But because he did something significant, it meant that you can't be here anymore, because you are now.
We have to get rid of
you. You are now in, like, you're so significant that now you're going to actually affect something. So we need to
see you later out the window.
So in a way, it's a good thing, you know, because they didn't get rid of him initially, because it's just a case of like, oh, look at this guy trying to save his cats. Who gives a fuck? You know, like, that won't do. But that won't change the story in any way. He ends up being a
bit of a player then.
But then when he saves them, when he tries to get the helicopter on the roof, then the Whispers target him and throw him out the window. And I'm like, if anything, that it makes him a better character, because the Whispers targeted him because he was now interfering with Destiny.
I love that. So then we get shots of the team performing a play which we now know is Loveless from the Crisis Core thing.
I also downloaded all of the lyrics.
Very good.
You needed them, you know?
So that's one thing that I listened to the lyrics, but
it's very Aerith.
It's very just
with clouds.
Yes, kind
heavy.
of. But it didn't have any sort of real sort of super, like, there was nothing I could see anyway, detail wise in the lyrics.
Did you like the song?
No, but
I don't like it at all.
But in fairness, I didn't like the theme song for 7 Remake. And
I quite like that.
It grew on me a lot, and I love it now.
But like, I've watched this trailer like 10 times, and I'm just like, it's No Eyes on Me, Final Fantasy 8. It's No Melodies of Life, Final Fantasy 9. You know, like, and both of those were written by Nobuo Uematsu as well.
But the guy, Craig, the guy can't keep hitting. Do you know what I mean?
Why not? He should have saved it for FF7. This is the most important one. And even when he was writing it, he was like, I wrote it thinking about Aerith. And I'm like, have you even listened? I mean, he obviously just plays the Japanese version. Yes. Because Aerith does not sound like that.
Yeah, no. So that's one thing there where they... But I mean, like, I can choose to ignore that because it's a video game. But yes.
I can't.
The discrepancy in the
and
voices.
especially because they've said that the role of Princess Rosa can change. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's true. I think... Aerith's role will always be Rosa, and the other characters can maybe change. Because otherwise they're going to have Barrett's singing that song,
Tifa singing that
song, Yuffie singing that song, and I just don't think they're going to animate that. I think that role will always be Aerith,
and then the rest of the team you can.
They want us because they're going to play this when the credits roll. 100%.
This is
going to do that. So they'll want us to feel sad, so they have to link it with Aerith, and the lyrics are already heavily linked with her anyway. And they deliberately showed her in the trailer for the most part.
Yeah, there's do you think that this being loveless now as opposed to the random play it was in 7, do you think that's evidence of Genesis being back? Yeah, okay, we're both agreed on that. Shane?
See, as soon as I saw Deep Ground, I went, fuck. This, we're dead. We're done.
We're going.
So we're going to use all that wacky shit. So
for those who don't know, Deep Ground was what was introduced in Dirge Cerberus, right?
Yeah.
Which is the worst of the selection of Final Fantasy 7 media that exists.
I don't know if it's the worst. I mean, there's a lot of shit. Like, I mean, I think Crisis Core is an absolute train wreck. But that mobile game was apparently one of the worst things. No, the mobile one.
The Turks one.
The Turks game. That's apparently
I never played
that. Piece of shit. Plus that battle royale game they did there.
It wasn't very good. But I did a few rounds. It's very hard to play on your phone. That's it, man. Like mobile games, just not for me. Yeah. So going through the rest of the scene, I'm kind of like we got like snippets, real quick little things. So there was like an Aerith and Cloud kind of intimate scene at the Gold Saucer, possibly from their date. We got more Loveless. The guys look great. Like they're dressed up in their gear. They all look class.
Like, as soon as I saw Barrett with that gun, I was like, surely he has to be the villain every time because like he has the gun, he shoots at them, like it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like what? Cloud's gonna shoot a gun? Like
maybe all the scenes are different. Maybe all the animations are different.
I just don't believe that because it requires so much work.
Yeah.
That I just don't think that
they would have done it.
Yeah.
Then we get the whole team dancing. Well, I say it looks like the girls like Yuffie, Aerith, and Tifa all dancing, and I can't tell if that's at the Golden Saucer or Costa del Sol.
I think it is the Golden Saucer because you can see the Muggle face in the background.
Okay.
So it's that lobby area, where you can see all the 7 areas. Yeah. I think it's so they've alluded to in the blog that like Dio likes to throw on these like parades every now and then. I think when you guys show up at the Gold Saucer, he's going to be doing his parade, and the girls are going to get involved, and it's going to be like a dance thing.
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be amazing. Be so but like I would have loved to have seen that for the first time. So without a trailer showing me it, you know.
And that's the thing with this trailer. You see a lot of scenes that aren't like necessarily story. They're not story ruining. They're not giving away anything that we're like, oh shit, I didn't need to know that. It's just I didn't need to see that. Yeah. You know, that's where I'm at. Then we get Sid taking off in the flying Bronco, on the tiny Bronco, with Yuffie as an excited passenger. It seems. I'm excited.
Not getting sick of the side. Yeah.
And then we get Dine looking at the picture of Marlene and Barrett kind of putting his arm on his shoulder, trying to comfort him. And I'm so excited. I think
nice.
As the entire game, it's the Barrett Dine moment is what I'm most excited about. I can't wait
of the whole game.
I think so. I love that so much in the original. That whole because you play as and it's one of my favorite things about that game when I was younger, like 1997. I played it probably in 1999 myself, so I was 10 or whatever, 10, 11 when I first like gave it a shot. Playing as Barrett and Barrett alone, and you're fighting Dine, I was like, this game is cool. Like, as in,
see, it sucked for me because my Barrett didn't have cure, so I just lost that fight the first time because you would need it. Like, otherwise, there's nothing you can.
But
do.
it was cool to be in that situation because I think it's one of the earlier times where you kind of just have like it's the
only time you ever play is just Barrett.
And I loved it. And like I was a big fan of Barrett my first playthrough as well. So and like he's only grown on me in remake.
Like back when I was like 10 years old, so I would have played with like Barrett and Red 13 because they were the lads. Like,
the boys.
I want the boys on my team. But from my second playthrough on, it was all Aerith.
And the next we have, it looks like Tifa and Cloud in the Gold Saucer, possibly at a cinema.
I think that's the gondola. They're doing the roller coaster ride, but it's showing scenes with Aerith, and Aerith hugs Cloud's arm. But it also shows you can do that scene with Tifa. It's making because you see the fireworks in the background.
Yeah, it's like the date scene, but rather than it just being Aerith, Tifa, and Barrett, it looks like you can
there's
go.
Yuffie
there's Yuffie as well. I wonder
the blog showcased that it is the 4.
Yeah,
and they allude to that there will be moments in the game where like. There's a scene where you're in comm and Aerith goes, hey, do you want to check out the clock tower?
Yes.
And it came up yes or no.
Couple
and
options.
It's kind of like the more activities you do, so that's going to build to be
which is kind of what the original game did. You got certain points.
It was. So it's just weird that they're kind of directly telling you ahead of time.
Well, I mean, they probably don't want anybody to be disappointed, to be like, how early do I have to start prepping for my Gold Saucer date, you know? Yeah. Then we get the scene with Zack looking after an unconscious Aerith for a brief period of time. I initially thought that this was a younger Aerith in a flashback, but it's just Aerith without her red jacket. It's like, it looked like she was
does
in the
look a little different. Maybe it's just a payoff thing or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find odd is that like after the explosion where Barrett, Tifa, and Aerith and Red 13 are supposedly killed, Shinra take Tifa, Barrett, and Red 13, but let Aerith go.
In which?
So the 4 of them are killed right at the very beginning.
In the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah. Not in this. In the previous trailer.
In the previous trailer, we know that Red 13, Barrett, Tifa, and Aerith were all mowed down and killed.
Yes.
You know, in some sort of storm or whatever. Yeah. But it was the Whispers thing. But then Shinra allowed Aerith to be to go.
So I don't know. I don't think they allowed...
Maybe Zach's mission is to, and like you said, maybe it is combat involved, but maybe he has to sneak in and go get
save Aerith. Because
you know?
my thing about it is that they put that news out. We do lose the team, but they do their best to keep Aerith alive because she is the last descendant of the ancients. And so but Zach finds out.
That go, like, because Hojo, even if she was dead, he'd be like, "No, we're gonna get every bit of DNA out of this."
But maybe they try
the same thing with Infalna.
They try and save her as best they can, coma or not, and Zach finds out that she's still alive.
But
and
if
then goes
if Aerith's alive, what do you think about the other three?
I think they're all dead.
I don't think Shinra would ever allow someone to just die.
I think because Cloud's not there, so they don't. Red 13. But I'm not.
I know, but this is Final Fantasy, and this is your guy. What's his name? Kitase or whatever.
Oh, Kitase.
For me, like we've already seen 2 members of Deep Ground. We haven't seen the other 2. But what if instead of those other 2, suddenly Hojo sees 3 dead people from Avalanche on the ground and was like, "Hey, I've got another experiment."
I hope not, because I don't want that.
I don't want that, but that sounds like exactly the type of thing that
sounds
like
Final Fantasy. No, my hope is that in that scene we saw all of them close to death or dead, and Shinra decides to save Aerith because she's the last of the ancients and kind of pawns off the rest. They just die. Is my hope, because I don't want having an Aerith, a Cloud, and a Zack all existing across 2 timelines is confusing enough without bringing oh yeah, but there's a heartless Barrett in this timeline.
We just laid it all there.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I mean in terms of oh yeah, but also in the Terrier timeline, there's a heartless Barrett and a fucking
don't say heartless
Organization 13 Tifa. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that shit. I get enough of that.
Because already there's so much of that with the robes. I'm these fuckers, where are they buying those perfect looking robes? None of them have lines.
I love how they're all torn around the shoulders so you can see their number. They're all torn.
But otherwise, the design, everything, it's clearly been made. It would be much better if they were just black rags.
Yeah.
This is very much excuse me, can I buy the?
Can I have a coffee, please?
It's like, Jesus, you're the 100th guy this week.
Americano. So then the very last scene we get is, of course, the famous scene of Aerith praying. The reflection in her eyes, if you pause it, looks like it has the holy materia in the reflection of her eyes.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Now, as you were saying,
like you said, she's doing the summoning.
She is doing the summoning.
She says, "Oh planet, please help us."
So in the Japanese one, so she's using the materia, trying to summon holy to save them from.
We don't know if it's summoning holy.
You think she's summoning?
Well, I mean, the scene could be
Knights of the Round Table.
Well, I don't know what she's doing, but this Aerith is very aware, and she knows of her own death and all that type of stuff. And she's throughout both the trailers, she's like, the future can be changed. So a part of me thinks Aerith maybe doesn't want to die and maybe will try and do things a little bit differently.
Interesting.
But ultimately, I think,
she's gone. Yeah, I think she's gone. What interesting, though, is that the Whispers are back in this scene, because we thought that the Whispers...
That's crazy.
Yeah, we thought that the Whispers were defeated at the end of... Because you broke through Destiny, and now you're on the timeline set with no barriers or walls. You can make the future what you want. Essentially, it's kind of what everyone was saying towards the end of that game. But in that scene, we see... And now, not fully confirmed, because I haven't seen a clear image of it being definitely a Whisper, but you see flashes of things floating behind her that look exactly like the Whispers
do. They do. But you only see one... It is vague, and it's more almost like a shadow, And you don't know if it's necessarily... You would think it is.
It's a Whisper.
And then you see the black feather. And
so
you're just like,
here's my question to you, Craig, because they, my impression of the Whispers is that they're there to make sure that Sephiroth is defeated, essentially.
Yeah, but they need him to kill her.
But that's what I mean. Do they? Is that and that's where that whole is that what they actually need, or do they now know, because Sephiroth is a Sephiroth that knows more than he should, because he's come from a different fucking timeline? That can get crazy. That's the Advent Children Sephiroth, we believe. Because it's him. Do the Whispers find themselves back to where Aerith is going to be killed and do their best to help the team to save Aerith, because they're like, well, actually, we need her alive? But then it kind of... That's what
none of it makes sense, because it doesn't... if Sephiroth shouldn't want to kill Aerith at all, because if she successfully summoned Holy, then what's the point of killing her now? He needed to kill her 2 hours before she had successfully prayed for Holy.
But we don't know if she will successfully, because that's the thing as well. They want to stop.
I know, but in the original game, she did succeed. She prayed for Holy, and then it didn't react right away because Meteor was stopping it. But she had successfully prayed for it, and that was what stopped Sephiroth. So if Sephiroth just kills her at the same time in the exact same way, he hasn't changed anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you kill Aerith anyway? I think that he is going to kill Aerith because they just need Aerith to die to keep the fans happy. And you fucking... I would do anything to save her. Like
Yeah.
I would kill anyone.
So
I would
many
do
people would do the
any.
same.
So I would play the
But
game
Craig,
in any different.
imagine-
I'd buy the game 10 times if they asked me to. You know,
Just to get, and on your 10th purchase, she's
Yeah.
alive. But imagine,
because her dying doesn't make it a great game. It was a great moment.
yes,
But that moment happened because the guy who created the game, his mother died, and
Yeah.
they needed to kill a character. But Aerith dying never ever made sense because it's her story, and even in the very next town you go to, it's where her mother grew up.
Yeah.
And when you go there, none of the characters talk to each other. It's like they deleted a whole scene from that.
I think again it's problematic because it's a 1997 game. So in theory, you think they wanted to do a lot more with it, but we're
Well, ultimately they were going to kill Barrett, but they didn't because they didn't want to be racist.
Is that it?
That's the reason Barrett didn't die.
Okay.
And I'm just like, really?
Well,
That's
so then-
how you
then
decided that?
That bit in the Shinra headquarters where he gets stabbed in the was that just a nod to them?
Probably, yeah.
about-
But originally Barrett was to die, but they said no. It's kind of maybe too obvious to get rid of the leader who's always like, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'll
Yeah,
do this.
Yeah.
But it's racial reasons, really.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Why not? So okay. Yeah. I guess she. Do they or don't?
And like
they,
you said,
Craig?
not only that, but the guy who lost his mother, I can't remember, Nomura, I think, is it the guy who lost his mom and then was like, I'm going to kill Eric because I want everyone else to be sad. He also wanted to kill 6 of the main characters. He only
Really?
wanted 3 to survive, He wanted everyone to die, when they did they parachute down to Midgar.
Yeah.
6 of the 5 remaining characters were supposed to die there, and there would only be 3 characters left.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Look at this. I'm learning every day.
Look at all that nostalgia. So, like, for someone to say that no, Aerith had to die, I'm like, that is definitely not the case.
No, not the case. I think I like this. I mean, I love that she did die because we got what is still classed as one of the greatest.
Yeah, because
video
it
game
shocked
deaths
so
of
many
all time.
people,
Yeah.
and it blew their minds. And they're like, "Oh no, that's the heart of that game." I'm like, no.
And everybody playing, like everyone checking out the rumors in magazines and stuff of ways to kind of like get her back in your party. Everybody tried everything and you just couldn't do it. So no, this trailer I suppose we'll just wrap it up now, Craig. We might as well. This trailer for me, big fan of it. Not the best one. I still think the very first trailer. Because it has the very first trailer,
so good.
Because the music is my favorite new song, and it has like Elena being introduced, and there's lots more Turks, and I'm so game for Turks.
It's odd that we haven't seen much of the Turks since then. Yeah, that's kind of mad.
I'm very very keen for Turk content. But as a whole, I enjoyed this trailer. I think of the 3, it's the weakest. I agree. I think it was cool.
Mainly because they're showing us sequences that aren't actually happening. Like we're seeing Aerith in a scene, and then we're seeing Tifa in the same scene. So none of those can actually happen.
We're seeing options.
We're just seeing potential things, and like that. It's kind of like, do you remember the whole dance scene with Andrea in the first game? I loved that was a surprise, and that I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So they've instead for this, they've just showed us all the dates and what the different things can happen, and I'm like, I really don't think you should have done that.
There was too much, and I think as well as that, it has.
And the song is not good. It's too ballad heavy, and the girl doesn't sound anything like Aerith, which is going to really annoy me if they make it that Aerith is singing it. Hopefully they don't, and it's just like
she's miming.
A dub, a mime or something, or they actually get Brianna White to record her version and then just have the professional sing it in the end credits.
That'd be
I'd be fine with that because that's what they generally do for those type of things.
To release it, get the professional singer in to actually release the actual track.
The kind of, because the way like in a lot of movies they'll have the actor sing the song, but then the credits roll and then the person who really sang it sings it then, like, because it's going up for Oscars or whatever, blah blah blah. But please let Brianna White sing it, and then maybe I'll like it.
You'll love it.
But when I'm hearing this person who absolutely sounds nothing, and don't get me wrong, I love The Greatest Showman. She did that song, what's it called? Never Again or Never Alone. Whatever. It's a really good song.
Yeah, I know the one.
Never Again, Never Alone. I can't remember what it's called, but that's a brilliant song. I love The Greatest Showman, and I'm happy that this girl has been brought in. Yeah. I just don't want her singing in place of Aerith because she doesn't sound like Aerith. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I guess that kind of will rule out that episode for us of the trailer. I think we get one more trailer before the game comes out. What do you think?
Hopefully they just drop a demo just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Could you
imagine a demo before
I
Christmas?
really would, because I know they will do a demo because like a lot of those people have already played it. Like, you know,
there's a demo
areas.
exists out there, which is exactly what we all hoped with Remake, because we knew that people were testing a demo or a small section of the game, which ended up being released as the demo. So we know the same thing is possible here. And the demo was so successful in getting people in that I think they'd be fools not to release a demo before Christmas.
I just want a little something, you know, just something to tie me over, you know.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. So I think we get one more trailer, and then we got Rebirth in 2 months.
And we'll cover it like instantly.
Absolutely,
right? We'll just be on that
you get
right
it here
away.
first. And before we leave, just shout out to our patrons who always give us their support: Daniel, Ian, Aaron, and Leo. Thank you guys, some of our patrons there. And Craig, you're happy to stick around. We do our battle royale. We're in the quarterfinals now.
Oh shit! Yeah, let's do it.
We're in the knockout stages. So if you like that, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/The Gift of Gaming, and for the price of a coffee a month, you can check out loads of extra content on there. Craig, thanks for sticking around. I could talk about Final Fantasy 7.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just so much fun to just.
I wish our post show was just more Final Fantasy 7. We get into it. Listen to our listeners out there, forever and always, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.